So can I ask you, when you talk about how much Kim Jong-un has already gained by having this summit set up, by being in Singapore, by meeting with the U.S. president, why is that so stark? Why is that so unusual? What makes him so different? What makes North Korea so different as a country that it is a remarkable thing that he would be treated essentially as a normal head of state?
Well, because North Korea, as you know, is the most isolated, cultish place. It's not really part of the international norm, right? It doesn't play by that. But it's President Trump who has agreed to this meeting, Kim Jong-un, where previous presidents, this is what Kim Jong-il wanted, Kim Il-sung wanted, but we never agreed to this. But by agreeing to sit down with Kim Jong-un, now we have given him. Why do you think Kim Jong-un got to meet with Xi Jinping twice? Why did he get to, right? Because China, Xi Jinping agreed to meet with him after Trump decided to meet with Kim Jong-un. So now he goes around and legitimizing his rule, looking like a normal person again, like a normal country. And he has nothing to lose now. Regardless of what happens with the summit, he can go back to North Korea. He has already weakened political will in terms of implementing sanctions on the ground. We already have reports of China loosening implementation of sanctions on the ground level. And how he's going to go back? Now he's going to go back, and the whole world is now thinking he's a normal person. We talked about human rights violations, but he looks like a normal person. So it's going to be hard to get back to the maximum pressure policy that we had before.
I just want to reference what we're watching. The right just about to disappear from our view, an armored Mercedes with flags on the front and no license plate on the rear. That's the vehicle carrying Kim Jong-un into the talks. Victor, the imagery, the use of news media is so interesting. There's a chase car behind the motorcycles, but in front of the Mercedes with media out the sunroof aiming back at the limousine. That would be free media were it our president in this country. It's North Korean state-run media because some of these pictures will be turned into postage stamps. Some of these pictures will be turned into posters and handouts and leaflets darn near forever.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, Brian. I mean, the thing this is a big meeting for President Trump. This is a huge meeting for the North Korean leader. They completely control internal communications information. They started putting out information about the United States meeting with Pompeo's second trip to North Korea, and now they're constructing the narrative. And the narrative is, as Rachel said, the world is coming to meet the North Korean leader because he's now a nuclear weapon state. And that is the domestic narrative. I mean, this is a regime. This guy's 34 years old. He took over when he was, what, 28, 29 years old? And there has been consistent purging within the North Korean leadership over these 6 or 7 years, more so than we've seen when the previous leader, his father, took power in 1994. So a very high level of purging, which suggests there's internal churn and that he has to prove himself to, naysayers within his own system. He purged 3 people just before this meeting, including the defense minister. So they are constructing a domestic narrative that shows strength, not necessarily compromise and conciliation. And to Rachel's question, why are we all paying attention to this? I mean, part of this is because as the international community, we value peace, right? And they are the threat to peace. And if they want to come out just a little bit, everybody comes flocking to them. So this isn't the end, right? After this meeting, there'll be a Putin meeting. I'm sure a Putin meeting will drop. Xi Jinping has said he would reciprocate by coming to North Korea. He'll probably come to North Korea, get a briefing from Chairman Kim. The Prime Minister of Japan has hinted in his meeting with Trump last week that he would like to meet the North Korean leader, too. So there's a lot more paying homage to this reclusive dictator who's now stepping out.
Am I right that before this year, Kim Jong-un had not met with another head of state? And now this year he's met with South Korea, with China, with Singapore, now with the United States, soon to be Japan. I mean, this year, the recognition that he has achieved by this overture from President Donald Trump has already vaulted him into a completely different realm of international recognition and international engagement even before today.
Yes, prior to April. Right, prior to April, this leader, who had been in power 6 or 7 years, as far as we know, had never met another foreign leader, had never stepped outside the country. And within this period of basically a little over a month, he's the toast of the town. Everybody wants to meet him.
I mean, the only person he has met with was Dennis Rodman. He was the only person that he has met with.
Who's not a head of state.
Well, he's in town to be fair. Let's define state.
Can I ask this question? Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.